Our White House correspondent Jenn Pellegrino sat down with a sex trafficking expert to learn more about this case.
Joining me now is Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show and an expert when it comes to human trafficking. Jaco, thanks for taking time to be here today.
Jenn, thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about the Jeffrey Epstein case, especially now as it relates to Ghislaine Maxwell, who was arrested on Thursday in New Hampshire. Taking a look at perhaps people that haven't followed this very closely, maybe they haven't seen the Netflix documentary. Can you give us some insight into the role that Ghislaine Maxwell played in this operation?
So glad you asked this question because, she's being portrayed as a madam. And we do this in culture. We love to use language to move culture, to soften situations so people can feel a little more warm and fuzzy about it. She's what we call in the industry a bottom girl. And typically every pimp would have two bottom girls, right? And they do the dirty work. They are normally also sex slaves at times, but they get elevated to a management position, if you want to call it that. And they become the recruiters. They're also the trainers. They'll train the young girls that come in on how to perform these sexual acts. They're the ones typically that go in and enforce the fear factor. They would go in and threaten. They're the ones that would come in and say, hey, we've got intelligence on your family. We're going to harm your mother, your brother, your sister. They're the enforcer because the pimp creates a buffer between himself and the client, the customer, the buyer. But he also creates a buffer between himself and the police. She cannot plead the fifth on this. She's complicit. She saw it all. Not only did she see it, but historically, her role in this whole saga is as a facilitator. She's the one making the phone calls, setting up the appointments, getting the girls ready, moving them, arranging hotel rooms, bartering and trading, with political pressure for hush money, et cetera, et cetera. So she's got a lot, Jenn. She knows a lot.
Well, hopefully this is the time that these victims can finally see some justice. But, many said that Jeffrey Epstein was above the law. And do you feel that these victims will finally see justice via this arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell?
There's such a hope in the anti-sex trafficking community. And we all just want justice for these survivors and the victims who didn't make it and the names we'll never know. But the concern here is the following. The concern is that there's so many powerful players involved here, Jenn. You got British royalty involved. You've got the Israeli intelligence involved, possibly British intelligence involved. Her father was a kingpin in the British Parliament. He was a media mogul, went head to head with Rupert Murdoch. This is very complicated. There's a lot of people today that are very, very uncomfortable, that do not want her to talk. Why was she in the U.S.? She was in hiding. She didn't show up for her first court date. And all of a sudden, she's arrested in New Hampshire. Is it that she's looking for support because she's running out of options? We don't know. I pray that she spills the beans. All I can tell you is there's very powerful groups, not just individuals, nations perhaps, that do not want her to say a word.
And one final question for you, Jaco. This is, a lot of people are saying this is a pyramid scheme of sorts. This is the first situation that has really captured all of America's attention, but we don't hear much in terms of sex trafficking as it happens. It's hidden in plain sight, if you will. Would you say this is something that is pretty common in these situations?
Yes. No, look, it's a system. Just like, drug lords have a way that they operate, and whether it's a large operation or a smaller operation, the elements are the same, really, whether it's one pimp in St. Louis or Dallas that's got 2 or 3 girls, they operate very the same. They've got bottom girls, they facilitate, they build a network, there's hush money, they've got someone in the police department or somewhere that is coming after them or protecting them. So this is just, elevated because it's the billionaires club. But I want Americans to know this happens in their local communities very much the same. Maybe on a smaller scale, smaller volume, right? But the system stays the same. It's not like it's a unique system, and it looks like a pyramid. Unfortunately here, what I want people to realize in the Epstein case, though, top of the pyramid are not individuals, Jenn. It's organizations and it's nations.
Wow. Jaco Booyens, we will be keeping a close eye on this and look forward to having you back in the near future. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.